I seriously think I jinxed the Malaysian currency and I jinxed the whole world with my book releases. So yeah, I think it's pure bad luck. Yeah. So that summarizes why I have stopped making books. Hi everyone, my name is Eva and I'm a comic artist based in Singapore. I'm also better known as Evacomics. So this video is to sort of explain to my fans why I am no longer producing any more books, because they have been seeing me post a lot of stories about me going to Japan or planning to go to Japan, and they're wondering why. If it's because I'm gonna have a new book coming, but it's actually not. But if you are not my fan, hi. I am a webcomic artist. I've been drawing webcomics for more than 10 years, since 2007, and I have 4 books published, and they're all based about Japan. So you can actually find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Telegram at Evacomics, where you can see that I do post new comics strips every Monday night and throwbacks on Thursdays. So let's get to the main point of the video, which is why I'm no longer doing comic books. So there's mainly 3 reasons. The first one is my health issue. Second is I don't sell enough books, so I get very poor. So it's actually a wealth issue. And the third is bad luck. So I'll touch on details on each and every point. So the first one is about my health. So actually my cervical spine over here has degenerated. So initially when I first had the symptoms, it was just common aching issues. So while I was working on my first few books, I worked very hard. I worked like 12 to 13 hours a day drawing. I'm looking down and draw all day long. Sometimes there was pain, but it was okay, it was manageable. I don't have other symptoms besides that. But when I was doing my last book, which is the 4th book, this one, I developed frozen shoulders, frozen neck and shoulders. So I couldn't turn my head, and I couldn't look up, look down. I walked like a zombie, a wooden person. And I actually had to take like a 2 months break from drawing. I had to reduce my commission work further in order to recover and do a lot of stretches. So that wasn't too serious, I find. The most serious one was last year, was it the year before, 2022, when I suddenly developed vertigo or dizziness, and went to see the chiropractor and TCM and manual therapist, tweener, massage. So what happened was the neck has degenerated a lot. So by right, the spine, the vertical, the cervical spine is supposed to be curved like this, but mine is already straight. So they call it straight neck syndrome or something like that. So it's starting to go forward. So not everyone will develop vertigo or dizzy spells, but for me, because when I draw, I tend to tense up my neck muscles and my shoulders. As you can see, my style is very clean. So it made the muscles here very tight. So with that combined, it gave me dizzy spells. And my health isn't that great to start with. So I do get sick frequently. The other time. now it's back again. But anyway. So nowadays, I can't draw for that long anymore. I can't draw like 12 hours a day anymore. So I draw at an average like 4 to 6 hours a day. And if I have a deadline to rush, that would be like 8 hours maximum. And I had to go to massage because it becomes so tight and the blood doesn't flow well behind. So due to that, I can no longer do a book and also commission work at the same time. I'm not sure if I think some people are not aware that when we do books, we do not get paid. Which leads to the second point, wealth issue. Okay, so some publishers give authors an advance. It can be a very small amount. Mine wasn't that great. A lot of publishers in Singapore and Malaysia, they actually don't pay an advance, which is an amount of money paid in advance to the author before the book is actually published. So to support the author's expenses while he or she make the book or write the book. I've heard of someone, one of my acquaintances shared with me that his friend actually got a $20,000 advance in Singapore dollars, which is probably around 15,000 US dollar, from a book publisher in China. And I was like, wow, that's really rare. Most of the time it's probably a few $1,000s. So while if there's no advance when we make the book, there's no money at all. So what I did was to actually ask my fans to support me on Patreon. It's actually a platform where you can pledge an amount each month to support your favorite artists or creators, so they can continue to provide free content. And I reached out to them and I got some support, but it wasn't enough, so I had to continue to do commission work. But I cannot do that much commission work because of the book. So the main issue was with the second book, If I Go Solo. This is all new content. This was all new content because some people wanted comics that were not online before, so I had to spend additional time besides the weekly comics that I post every Monday to work on the books, this one and this one. So so that was how I get by, and that's why when I do the books there wasn't a lot of income. And my health wasn't that great because I was drawing all day long. I got sick pretty often. I get like a flu, cold or something, sore throat almost every month. After I recover, I would be only well for a month or so, and I will catch it again and again and again. So all the money that I have left is spent on medical bills. So that also affected my mental health, because by right, when the first book is completed, the income from the first book is supposed to support the making of the second book. And then these two books, the royalties from these two books is supposed to support your living when you're doing the third book. And these are supposed to support your living when you're doing the fourth book. By right, they should be increasing. However, in my case, the book sales decreased further and further. So I think the first book I sold more than 5,000 copies, close to 10,000 I think. And then the second book barely sold 5,000. And the third book, I think, barely sold 3,000. I kind of forgot the figures because it's such a long time. But oh yeah, by the way, it's been 10 years since the first book was published. So yeah, I think this one was in 2017, if I remember correctly. So these book sales decreased, and this is a global issue. The number of books sold worldwide has been decreasing, and also because I was so busy doing the books, I didn't have time to do any marketing, like respond to fans' comments on my social media channels, leading to poorer engagement. And yeah, so also when the book is out, when I post on my social media channels, the Facebook and Instagram algorithm ranks it very low because not enough people are buying, not enough people are engaging on the post, so it's ranked very low and it reaches even less people. So sometimes when the book is out, I have a lot of activities. Like I get invited to talks, I have to rent booths, etc. By the way, when I get invited to talks, most of them are not paid. I have to spend time to prepare for the talks depending on the topic, and we barter trade. So I get a free festival pass. I get a free pass where I go to attend other talks, and I get to sell my books and get most of the cut. I think it's all of the income, if I remember correctly. However, because of the decreased reach on social media and poor engagement, the turnout for these talks and events are not as ideal as I thought. Initially, it was good, but over the years I see a decline, and resulting in less sales as well. So yeah, definitely money is no longer that great, and I still have to rent stalls in different conventions. So the truth is, the convention fees, the booth rental, has been increasing over the years as well, but the book price remains the same. Yeah, and I have to pay for the logistics because you remember my cervical spine is very weak. So I have to hire movers or someone to help me with the books because they're really heavy. So the profits is actually not that great. So initially I thought profits were good when I finished a particular convention. But okay, so this leads to the third point, bad luck. I was selling my own books. Then you'll be thinking, like, I thought you went with a publisher, but why are you selling your own books? So bad luck. Okay, point number 3, bad luck. So I started off self-published. Those people who know, who were my fans for a very long time, my first book was actually self-published because no Singapore publisher wanted to publish my work because they think it's not Singapore enough. So I found a kind angel investor who borrowed me money and also gave me a small pot of money to support me to work on the second book, etc. So I self-published the first book in Singapore, and I think, oh yes, was it 3,000 copies? I forgot. I think it was 3,000 copies. I have to check on that. Self-published 3,000 copies, and it was sold out. And I also sold it to, we tried to sell it to Malaysia through a distributor, but it didn't work out. Yeah, so I finally managed to find another distributor in Malaysia to carry my books to Malaysia. Yeah, so we had problems distributing to Malaysia, locally as well, but the problem was more prominently to Malaysia. So I approached another Malaysian distributor, and they took my book and it went to Malaysia, and they tested out with not many copies, a few hundred copies first, and I had to pay for the transport, the courier service from Singapore to KL to their warehouse. So you can imagine it's kind of expensive to sell in Malaysia. And I didn't dare to sell too high because the prices in Malaysia are lower. So after that, it was sold out. There were some issues which take a very long time to explain, so I will not explain right now. Anyway, it was sold out, and I asked if their publishing arm would like to take the books, because I know they have a publishing their whole group of companies. So they asked the publishing side, and they were willing to publish under them. So I signed a contract with the Malaysian publisher to reprint the first book to sell in Malaysia and Singapore, because by then there was all the Singapore first editions were sold out. Unfortunately, after we signed the contract, okay, so how it works is that in Singapore dollars is 1990, so it's about 20 Sing dollar. So when you convert it to the ringgit price, it's about 39.90 or 40 ringgit at that time in 2015. I think it was 2015. So we based the contract in ringgit. So the royalty is based on the selling price. So for example, the book was sold at 40 ringgit. For example, it's actually 39.9, but we'll round it off as 40 ringgit. And I will be taking 10% of the book sales as my royalty. So I earned around 4 ringgit per book sold in Malaysia and Singapore, by the way, because it's based in ringgit, because the contract is in ringgit. So after I signed, a few months later, guess what happened? The ringgit dropped from, the exchange rate was 2 ringgit to 1 Singapore dollar, which was why at the selling price in Malaysian ringgit at that time, I put it as 39.90, which is like 40 ringgit. After I signed, it dipped to 3 ringgit to 1 Singapore dollar. Wow, sian. Wow. Okay, so basically my income suddenly dropped nearly 50%. So now it's even worse. It's 3.5 ringgit to 1 Sing dollar. So it's like a 50% cut in royalty when you convert it back to Singapore dollar. It's terrible. Okay, it's just terrible. So I decided to so the publisher, the person who was liaising with me at that time suggested we do a contra royalty, which means I would use the royalty that I'll be earning in the future to buy back stock right now to sell by myself in Singapore. Which I thought, okay, since you are going to give me a discount rate and I'm going to sell in Singapore at a higher currency, at a higher price, why not? All right, so I'll do the legwork. At that time, I was still healthy. I was young. Remember, that was nearly 10 years ago. So, oh, by the way, I'm in my 40s now. So 10 years ago, I was in my 30s, early 30s. So I bought back the books to sell in Singapore. So I would approach retailers. I would sell online. I would rent books and etc. I'll deliver the books and do the chasing of payment, which is a pain, by the way. Another story time. I'll save it for another day if you're interested. Okay, so I bought back the stock, and I think I sold more books than them, the publisher, through their distributor. Because in the end, in 2019, I was sent a bill because I kept owing them money because the royalties was never enough to cover the amount of books that I buy from them. So they decided that I have to pay whatever's outstanding in 2019 after my last purchase from them for a convention in Singapore for my last book. Published author, but I owe them money. So it's weird. But anyway, they recently terminated our contract. Yeah, I was sent this email, and initially I was shocked, but they haven't been paying me for a very long time, and they haven't sent me any sales report for the past 4 years. So I don't think I'll be paid anymore, and I mean, it's a nice pocket money to have, but anyway, so that was my bad luck with the Malaysian publisher. The people there were, she left already, but the lady who was there liaising with me was super nice, super supportive. But the prices were not good. It was like all in ringgit. So my lesson learned was never to have your contract in a foreign currency other than US dollar. So if you are an aspiring author and you're going to sign a contract with a foreign publisher, please make sure that it is in US dollar. Okay, so anyway, with my bad luck, I decided that my 4th book is not going to be with the same publisher. I'm going to change. And I had problems with my distribution network. A lot of fans have been telling me, sending me messages, DMs. I cannot find your book here. I cannot find your book there. And I was like, I don't own the bookstore, so I can't tell the bookstore, hey, you have to carry my books. Okay, I can't do that because I'm not even a customer. So you as a customer have the power to ask the bookstore near to you to order my books from the distributor, because if you don't do that, they don't know that this author's book sells. So there's this evil cycle of people keep on messaging me and I can't do anything about it, except for asking my publisher, why aren't my books in your brand's bookstore? Which is weird because my books were published under their publishing arm and they own bookstores, but my books are not in every of their bookstore. Anyway, there's also a problem distributing with the other bookstore called P something bookstore, because they have their own exclusive titles. So, it's really complicated. These things are not, it's out of my control. Okay, so it's just, I didn't know it was like that. But if you want to know exactly what happened, just drop comments below. Okay, so after I finished I signed a contract with the US publisher, right? Because I'm sure their distribution is worldwide. So I have this fourth book and we discussed the contract, etc. So this time is a US publisher. So I thought, okay, it's gonna be good, right? And we targeted for release during the Olympics in Japan. Yeah, and you know what happened. Yeah, and mine is a travel book, by the way. So we anticipated there will be a lot of people going to Tokyo for the Olympics in 2020. Was it 2020? Or was it 2021? Anyway, we know what happened. It was postponed. There was no travel. Olympics was postponed, and in the end, only athletes could participate in the Olympics. And mine is a travel book. During COVID, bookstores were closed. So distribution was also a bit problematic because logistics-wise and all that. So I managed to sell in Singapore first because that was 2019 when it was out in Singapore, but 2020 was when it's scheduled to be out in the United States, and that's when all the crazy thing happened. So as a result, the sales was not as good as I thought. And I believed I jinxed it. I seriously think I jinxed the Malaysian currency and I jinxed the whole world with my book releases. So yeah, I think it's pure bad luck. Yeah. So that summarizes why I have stopped making books. Unless it's commissioned. Now that's different because commission work I do get paid within 30 days after the job is done. Books I don't get paid until maybe a year later after it's published. So yeah. So it's really tough. Yeah, so I think that's all for my sharing on why I stopped to make books because of health, wealth, and phenomenal bad luck. If you like to hear more of my stories, such as the number one question I get, how do you make a living? Without books, how do you survive without books? And the truth is, my main income is actually not from books. So if you want to learn more about the background stories of these, because I've been doing webcomics since 2007, and I've been doing freelancing for 10 years now. So I have a lot of stories and experience to share. And so, if you have anything that you would like to know, you can just leave comments down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. It helps the algorithm. And you can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, Telegram, and also Patreon. I would like to, lastly, Thank you for watching, and also my lovely patrons, which I think I'll show here. Yeah, my lovely patrons. Some of them have been supporting me since the first book or the second book, so I'm very, very grateful to them. And see you again. Bye bye.